Welcome back, friends, to Season 2 of the Walnut and the Oak Children's Storytelling Podcast. Can you believe we're already on Episode 5? I'm Grandpa Banjo Bill, and this is my little cat, Potato. Potato and I were down here at the Walnut and the Oak when the golden storybook began to glow again. That usually means another story is ready for us. Let's open it up and see. Today's story is called Fable the Fox, and the story everyone thought they knew. That sounds like a mighty interesting title. Let's settle in and find out. In a wide green forest, where the trees grew tall and the paths were worn smooth by many paws and feet, a new neighbor arrived. She came quietly at sunrise. Her fur shone russet in the morning light. Her amber eyes studied the trees, the river, the wind, and the shape of the land. A fox had come to live in the forest, and the forest began to whisper. Foxes are sly. They take what isn't theirs. They can't be trusted. No one had spoken to her, but everyone seemed to know who she was. Fable chose a small clearing near the riverbank. She worked steadily. She reinforced the edges of her den. She moved fallen branches away from the waterline. She marked safe footing where the soil crumbled near the bank. Animals passing by watched from a distance. "That fox is up to something," muttered the badger. "Always rearranging things," grumbled the rabbits. "Suspicious work," honked the geese. Fable continued. Days passed. Fable walked the forest paths, studying where water pooled after rain. She shifted loose stones from a narrow crossing. She stacked fallen limbs where the river bent sharply. She placed markers along a low trail that often flooded. No one asked why. They only watched and whispered. One afternoon, the air grew heavy. Clouds rolled in low and dark. Rain began. Slow, then steady, then relentless. The river swelled. The familiar path near the bank dissolved into mud. Water rushed across the low trail, but the reinforced bank held. The stacked limbs slowed the current. The marked crossing remained steady beneath the rushing water. Animals found safe footing where before there had been none. By morning the storm had passed. The forest stood drenched but unharmed. No burrows lost, no nests swept away, no one injured. The animals gathered near the riverbank. They looked at the sturdy ground, the slowed current, the safe crossing. Then they looked at the fox. The badger cleared his throat. "You knew the river would rise?" Fable tilted her head. "I watched where the water travels." The geese lowered their necks. "You changed things before the storm." Fable gave a small shrug. "I thought it might help." The forest had believed a story about foxes, but they had never learned the story of this fox. From that day on, when something changed in the forest, the animals chose a different way. They stopped guessing. They stopped whispering. They stopped deciding who someone was before they'd taken the time to know them. Instead, they asked. They listened. And if anyone still murmured, "Foxes are sly," someone would answer, gentle but sure, "Maybe that's just the story you've heard, but Fable isn't like that at all. Fable is honest, thoughtful, and kind. You don't know someone until you know them." And because the forest learned to look beyond the cover and truly see what was inside, something wonderful began to happen. Neighbors helped one another more quickly. Paths were safer because more eyes noticed what mattered. Food was shared before anyone went hungry. Problems were solved together instead of whispered about from a distance. The forest grew calmer, kinder, and stronger, not because everything was perfect, but because everyone felt they belonged. And in that belonging, the forest began to thrive. The end. I agree, Potato. Potato says, sometimes we think we know someone because of what we've heard or because of what others say. But the truest story is the one we discover for ourselves. I couldn't agree more with you, Potato. When we slow down, when we ask, and when we really listen, we make room for kindness. And when kindness grows, good things grow with it. And friends, here's something to think about before we say goodbye. Is there someone you could know better if you took the time to listen? Sounds like Potato has somebody in mind. I'm proud of you, Potato, for taking the lessons from these stories and trying them out in your own life. That matters more than getting everything perfect. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode. We'd love to see you again when the golden storybook glows. Until then, goodbye from me. Say goodbye, Potato. Until next time, bye, friends.